If you're a renter or you've got limited space, I'm going to show you a mini edible garden in a barrel that's going to keep you fed for years to come. I'm using this wine barrel to create a garden bed. The best part about it is it's not fixed, so you can take it with you. And even if you've got a small garden, it's going to make a fantastic little receptacle too. And I'm actually going to create a wicking garden bed. And what is that? Well, basically, you create a reservoir of water that your plants can use when you forget. Let me explain to you. So take this glass of water as our reservoir and this tissue as our soil. You can see when it touches, it just soaks all the way up, and our plants are going to be able to use that when it gets hot and dry. First step is you're going to create a pond, but you don't want it to stagnate, so we're going to drill a hole in the side. With a traditional raised veggie patch, you want them nice and high, about 600 mil to work from. But when you're working with a wicking bed, you only really want a maximum of 300 millimeters of soil. That's optimum for the roots to go down and the water to come up. Any more, and it just dries out. So I'm going to allow 50 mil for some mulch, 300 mil for my soil, and pop a hole in the side right there. So a tip when using a speed bore is to not drill all the way through, because what can happen is it can blow the back of the hole out and then you're not going to get a waterproof seal. So wait for the tip just to come through on the inside, then drill from the other direction. To make our pot waterproof, I'm using quite a thick pond liner. Now, you could use plastic, but I'd recommend it being food grade because you don't want it to break down and get into the roots of your plants. Now, there's no real science to this. You basically just need to push it in, and you want to try and reduce the wrinkles so you can maximize potting mix. Once it's in place, I'll staple it in. For our drainage point, I'm using a tank outlet. Now, these come with washers, which means it's going to be nice and tight and waterproof. You have to make a hole in your pond liner, so just poke your finger through and put just a tiny little cross. That way, you're not going to lose too much water, and it simply screws in.
Hey boy, can something this good last? Hey boy, just met you yesterday.
Now, you want to make sure you get this as tight as possible so it doesn't leak. If you're unsure, you could use some silicone or even some thread tape. To get water into your reservoir once you put potting mix in your pot is going to be impossible. So I'm doing it with a really simple 19 mil flexible irrigation pipe. And I'm going to connect that up to a slotted ag drain. The reason I'm doing that is to distribute the water evenly throughout the reservoir. You hold that up. One other thing I'm going to do is put a cap on the 19 mil pipe, and that's going to stop any mosquitoes getting in and breeding.
Oh, hey boy, is this too good to be true? Oh, hey boy, I'd risk it all for you. Not gonna throw in reverse, not gonna slow it down, not gonna take my time, 'cause it feels just right. Baby, close your eyes, there's nowhere to turn. Wanna crash and burn.
Now, we've filled our reservoir with clay pebbles, and the reason we've done this is so our potting mix doesn't squash down on the water. Clay pebbles are also really good because they absorb a lot, which means we're going to have lots of available moisture. Now, I'm just using a really simple plant pot over the tap. That's going to stop any gunk from blocking it up. Now, before you put your potting mix in, you need to put in a layer of geotextile. Now, this allows the water through, but it stops the potting mix combining with those clay pebbles. Now, when you're selecting a potting mix, you really need to get the best quality you can afford, because the better ones, well, they have fertilizer in them and they hold on to moisture, which basically means you're going to have healthier plants. We're planting our pots up with completely edible plants, and the centerpiece is going to be this dwarf lemon. Now, this is going to give us year-round structure, but also a bit of a canopy for our leafy greens. You've got to remember when you're planting up any edible garden bed that these plants are incredibly fast growing, so you need to give them space to grow into, otherwise they'll just get congested. The last stage of our wicking barrel garden bed is to apply some mulch. Now, when it comes to any veggie garden bed, I like to use a pea straw mulch because it breaks down and helps to feed the plants. It also locks in a bit of moisture. Now, with veggies, I normally feed them a liquid fertilizer every 7 to 10 days because they need all the nutrients for growth. But in this system, you do it when you water as well. You fill in the pipe, you do it maybe once a month. So you're using less water and less fertilizer. A garden bed in a barrel with a built-in wicking system. It's perfect for even the smallest of spaces. And the best thing is, you can build it on a weekend.